Okay, right, Claire, can you see the website?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so brilliant. So just a little bit about Food Effect of Life. You may well be quite familiar about the education programme, but it's the education programme from the British Nutrition Foundation. Claire and I both work for B&F. We are education services managers, both of us, and I tend to look after the secondary work that we do, and Claire looks after the primary work, both of us being ex-teachers. And the education programme covers topics, healthy eating, where food comes from, and cooking. And for the last few years, we've been working in partnership with the Agriculture, Horticulture and Development Board, also known as AHDB, and they bring sort of the where food comes from expertise to the programme. Okay, so you can see the website on the screen, and for those of you that aren't so familiar with what we do, we have age phases, and they're across the top, and we use age phases for Food Effect of Life rather than key stages because the programme is applicable for the whole of the UK. So if we were to say 11 to 14 years and have that as key stage 3, that would be fine for England, but wouldn't be appropriate to Scotland. So that's why we work in age phases rather than key stages. We've got a big area, which is the area for pupils with additional needs, which we'll go into shortly. Then we have recipes. We've got whole school area where you'll find lots of things to do with curriculum, whole school approaches, but also some sort of additional things that we've done recently, like careers and the food leaders pack for primary, and the science resources that I was talking about earlier on. So you find all of those in the whole school area. And then we've got a professional development area as well, where you'll find lots to do with training and professional development for you as practitioners for your own sort of CPD and sort of self-directed CPD. Before we just move off the home screen, just to let you know about our newsletter. Now, hopefully you have this already because you've joined us tonight, which is great. But if you're not signed up for our newsletter, this is the place to do it. So where we've got Stay Informed, then you just need to give us your details and you'll be added to the newsletter database. And then you'll find out once a month everything we're up to, and then also any other things during the month that we think are really important to let people know about. Okay, so I'm going to go into the areas for people with additional needs. Now, this is a relatively new area that we've got on the website because we realised 2 or 3 years ago that there wasn't really anything available for supporting pupils with additional needs or their teachers. So the first thing we did was develop a characteristics of good practice guide. Now, we had done that previously for teaching in secondary schools and also in primary schools, but we then thought actually it's really important that we do something to support teachers of pupils with additional needs. And I'm going to show you that shortly. But once we'd done that, we then thought, right, that's brilliant. Actually, what we also need to do is to provide some resources for teachers to be able to use as well, because although we've got lots of resources on the website that might be suitable for pupils with additional needs, we thought that there should really be a focus and a framework developed, which is what we set about doing. So that's what you'll find in this area. But I'm going to first of all go into our characteristics document. And you might well be familiar with this. You might have seen the primary version or the secondary version, but this is something that's specific for teaching pupils with additional needs. And this was written through a consensus with additional needs experts across the UK. So B&F brought them together and developed this guide with their support. So we have a main guide, and that really just is like sort of a compilation of all the individual areas. So the guide actually covers good practice across all of the different aspects of teaching pupils with additional needs. So that includes professional competence, taking a whole school approach, but also the different aspects of the curriculum as well. We've also got an area which is around developing skills for independent living, and I'll talk about that a little bit further because we've got some resources for that. But also we've got resources around developing skills for work, because we know that that's a really important thing as well for pupils with additional needs, because a career in food can be a fantastic thing for somebody to do. So we wanted to highlight sort of what the opportunities are, but also what teachers could do to support their pupils when thinking about perhaps getting employment. So for each of these ones, I'll pop into the developing skills for work now. So hopefully this is going to appear. And so this is an example of one of the aspects, one of the sections in the guide. So we've got an overview, then we've got a case study. So that's actually somebody working in the field of employability with pupils or young people with additional needs, and a case study about how you can help them. And then some information about putting the characteristics into practice. And then right at the end, we've got some other information, which is about exemplary practice. So how you can go sort of that step further in order to support your pupils. So we've got lots of those guides. Now let's see if this is going to work. Let's go back. Perfect. And then also we've got some resources perhaps for you to use in the classroom. So we've got a practical food skills chart, which actually looks at all of the different food skills that you might want to use with your pupils, with the name, a symbol that you might be able to use with the pupils, and then an example. And you'll see throughout all of our resources for pupils with additional needs that we use something called dual coding. Now, this is something that I learnt the name of actually through the Oak National Academy work that we're doing at the moment. And they were talking about using images alongside words and calling it dual coding. And I thought, oh, fantastic. But then actually realised that's something we've been doing at Food Effective Life for a long time. But it's good to know that that's actually sort of a recognised way of helping pupils with their learning. And we've got a pupil-friendly version of that. So one of which has got just the action, the symbol, but then also an explanation, and then another one which has just got the action and the symbol. And then we've got some reflection documents. These can be used by teachers to support your CPD, your learning. And then we've got some webinars and other things that you might find helpful around just the sort of the teaching and learning practices and aspects of working with pupils with additional needs. Okay, let's go back up to the top of this area. And then I wanted to just, before I show you the main resources, I just wanted to show you a mapping document that we've got on the website, because this is a document that we put together looking at sort of the general resources that we have and trying to identify any of the sort of general resources that might be suitable. And we've identified different aspects that you might be wanting to teach: the Eat Well Guide, 5 a Day, healthy eating, making choices, but also moving on to let's go down here, activity, getting ready to cook. So these might be suitable for you to use. So they're not our ones specifically for pupils with additional needs, but there are general resources. Okay, so I'm going to move on off this one and try and go back to the website. Hopefully you can see this again. Claire, can you see this? Yeah, great. Right, let's go back. Okay, so wanting to go into the actual resources now that we've put together for pupils with additional needs. So we've got them covering food and drink for life, variety, being active, choice, preference, etc. So these lots and lots of different resources and support for you and for the pupils. And this is around sort of a framework that we've put together, and we're covering sort of healthy eating, cooking, where food comes from. So that follows the same sort of framework that we do for Food Effective Life for our general resources. but then we've made these more specific ones for pupils with additional needs, plus also the developing skills for independent living. So I'm going to go into the cooking area and just show you some of the resources that we've got in here. So these cover choice, preference and occasions, cooking, and serving and sharing. So go into cooking. And within each of the area, you'll find an introductory guide. And the introductory guide is a Word document that has lots of different ideas and activities that relate to cooking. So hopefully you'd be able to have a look at that and think, okay, I need to cover a particular aspect with my pupils, and you'll get some different ideas for sort of practical and sort of non-practical activities. Alongside the guide, we've also got lots of different resources. So the main one is probably the PowerPoint presentation, which is PowerPoint that contains lots of stimulus resources for pupils. So I won't go into the slideshow for this, but I will just share the different images or slides so you can see. So the stimulus presentations are, this one is about cooking. So it's looking at using a recipe and the different aspects of a recipe, weighing and measuring, and then different images with quite simple language on each slide that you can actually use to show the pupils, to help them understand the different skills that would be required when cooking. And then also the fact that they'd be using their cooking skills to make drinks, snacks and meals. So that's one of the PowerPoint presentations. And then I need to go back to the website. And then we've also got other ones like this one here, which is around food hygiene and safety. And again, sort of similar things. So nice, simple slides that you can also edit if you want to. So all of our resources are editable, so you can have a look at them and you think, yeah, that's good, but actually I need to change that to make it more suitable to my particular pupils. Then you can do that. But hopefully they will give you sort of the basis of the resources that you might want to use. So this one is looking about food hygiene and safety. So thinking about what should be stored in the fridge, whereabouts in the fridge, looking at food labels, date marks, that kind of thing. So all the kind of things that you might want to go through with your pupils, but with the ability for you to adapt them if you want to. And then we've got different food hygiene scenarios, things like these washing up activities. So for this one, you can see here, hopefully in the middle of this row, it's again using dual coding, and it's got images of the different activity you would do when you were washing up, and then the activity in words, and you could do that as a matching exercise or cut it up and just for the images, or there's another version which has got the answers. So this is putting it into the order, the sequence that you would want to do when you're washing up. So different activities that you could think about doing with the pupils. So that's the cooking area. Let's have a look at where food comes from. So similar sort of thing, the areas that we would cover in our general resources. So food origins, food is produced and processed, and shopping. Let's just pop into the shopping one, having a look at what we've got here. So thinking about, again, there's a guide.
Try and send Lisa this link.
Oh, hello, thank you for joining us. Do you think you could pop your microphone on mute, please? That would be great. So what to buy, where from, and going shopping. So the kind of thing that you might want to think about. And then what you could do is you could have a look at this area, you could go through these different activities, and then you can actually take the pupils on a shopping trip, because I know a lot of teachers do that. So you could use this as a sort of the pre-learning, and then you could go on the shopping trip and then do some of the activities when you come back to school afterwards. Okay, let's go into another area within here. Recipes and videos. So we were very lucky a couple of years ago to go into a wonderful school to work with some pupils looking at doing some food skills, taking some photographs, and then also doing some videos as well. So we've got some recipes on here. Nice range of recipes, some quite simple ones. So scrambled egg on toast, both using the hob and the microwave. Quick and easy mince pie recipes. So those are ones that you don't need to use cutters for or a tin. You just do them by hand. English muffin pizzas. And then also moving on to chili con carne if you want to do something that's a little bit more complex. And then this lovely minty lamb and pea burger recipes. So some nice recipe videos there. Those are the recipes, but then we've also got the recipes that use widget symbols as well. So you'll probably be very familiar with these symbols at schools. So if we just have a look at this one. And so this is an English muffin pizza. A nice sort of simple recipe, but actually does use some really nice food skills, lots of chopping and grating, spreading. And with something like this, you can choose the complexity. With recipes like the muffin pizza one, you can make that as complex as you want to do. So you could get the pupils to do all the preparation and the chopping and the grating and the finished dish, or you can actually prepare the ingredients for them, and then you can get them to actually sort of put the muffins together, and then you can bake them in the oven. So lots of the recipes we can use in different ways. Then I just wanted to go down. I'm not going to show these videos, but I wanted to go down and show you that we've got some really lovely videos, peer-to-peer videos, which actually demonstrate these particular recipes that we've got online. So we've got a getting ready to cook one, and then we've got a video for each of the different recipes that we've done. Okay, right. So I'm going to now move into the area with where we're looking at developing skills for independent living, because we've done these resources slightly differently. So I'm going to go into playing what to eat. So for this one, we've got a guide as we've got for the others, but particularly for these, we've actually done them as like a social story. And we were talking to teachers, and they were saying that that's what a lot of teachers use in schools, working with pupils with additional needs. So we thought, okay, we'll follow the same process. So it's a stimulus PowerPoint, so same sort of thing, lots of images and quite simple text on the screen, but following the idea of a social story. So there's a bit of an introduction at the beginning. It explains what's going to be covered. And then at the end, we then look at sort of what has been covered and what the next thing might be that they go on to. So again, for each of these areas, we've got some additional resources that you could use, and they follow the sort of the now, next, and then process, which I know that a lot of teachers use. And then we've got also pupil certificates for this, because if they've completed each section, it's quite nice to give them a certificate to celebrate the fact that they've done that. So for this area, we've got resources for planning what to eat, going shopping, cooking, and then eating and sharing, because we really recognize that it's important that for pupils with additional needs, learning about being independent and the kind of things that they're going to want to do when looking after themselves is going to be really important. So they may not be doing sort of covering the curriculum or doing qualifications, but actually learning about independent living is a really, really important skill for them. So so those are sort of the main resources that I was going to show you. The other thing before we finish and see if there's any questions that you might like to ask are was just to pop into our 5 to 7 years and have a look at our knowledge organisers. And I know that these are used a lot in mainstream schools, but I think they're also very suitable for working with pupils with additional needs. Now, we have knowledge organisers for each of the age phases and for each of the topics that we cover. But you can see, hopefully, from the screen that the ones that we have for younger pupils, so 5 to 7 and 7 to 11, they are really nice, simple sheets, which can either be printed as A4 or A3, which just give the basics of what pupils should know about with regards to each of the different topics. And these can be used as really nice sort of activities to sort of share with the pupils in advance of the lessons, what they're going to be learning over the next term, or they can be used for mix and match activities or memory recall activities. So there's lots of different ways that these can be used. And also the great thing with these at primary level, we've actually got Welsh versions of them. So if you're teaching in a Welsh school, if I can go down here, we've got Welsh versions. So these might be helpful to you as well.